Remembrance Sunday should be about remembering people who died. But that's not what some people did. No. What they did is they sat there waiting and they looked at Jeremy Corbyn and they thought, how can we use this event to have a massive pop at Jeremy Corbyn? He sang the national anthem, so they can't have a go at that. And he's pretty, I think, well dressed. They couldn't do the whole donkey jacket attack they did on Michael Foot. So instead, they focused their ire on the angle to which he bowed his head. Now, The Sun went one further. I mean, they had a big front page splash nodding my name, very witty, very clever, which accused him of not bowing at all. A lie, by the way, that honestly, what sad world do we live in where we're debating the extent to which he bowed his head. Instead of the other dignitaries who went out to some special lunch afterwards, he spent his time hanging out with World War II veterans and talking to them. The British press is a very sophisticated political lobbying operation which masquerades as the free press, run by very politically motivated moguls who use their dominance of the media to get across certain political ideas and achieve political objectives. Now, people often, respond like this to me. They go, "Oh, come on, you're one to speak, Owen. I mean, you don't exactly hide your opinions." No, I do not. And actually, what I do is I write opinion pieces, and do you know where they end up? In the opinion section, because that's where they belong. Now, other people in the British media are just as opinionated as I am. The difference is their opinions end up in the news section dressed up as objective reporting. Another issue is the intervention by the Chief of the Defence Staff, General Horton. He was asked about Jeremy Corbyn's position on nuclear weapons. And he made it clear he would be worried if Jeremy Corbyn became Prime Minister.
It would worry me if that thought was translated into power.
An unnamed anonymous general, I'm not saying of course it was this general, and it almost certainly was not. However, there was an unnamed general and he suggested that if Jeremy Corbyn were to become Prime Minister, that there would be mutinies within the armed forces and hinted at a possible military coup. I think that's a bit sinister, actually, all in all. Now, what we're supposed to have in this country is a separation between the armed forces and civilian democracy. The fact I even have to make that clear is mildly farcical. If the elected government comes to power with a mandate to scrap nuclear weapons, then the generals have to abide by that decision because we're a democracy. And they can't intervene, they can't say what they want. If they want to retire, if they want to resign, then they can come out and say what they want. In this country, you can't stand for election if you're a soldier. That didn't stop him intervening. I've welcomed the fact it's not just people on the left who've made this point. Daniel Hannan, who is a Conservative member of the European Parliament on the right of the party, he said, what distinguishes Britain from Burma is the fact our generals do not intervene in politics. And he's absolutely right. The danger is if you don't define yourself, your enemies define you instead. Now, in the first few weeks in particular, because Jeremy Corbyn didn't expect to become Labour leader, it was quite chaotic, quite self-evidently. There wasn't really a clear, coherent press operation in place, and lots of stuff was being thrown at him and it wasn't really being rebutted. An alternative wasn't really being proposed. Now, just after Jeremy Corbyn became a leader, he had to go to the Battle of Britain commemoration event and he didn't sing the national anthem. Now, that was obviously a mistake. Undoubtedly, people were going to go, "Oh, you're a hypocrite, you're a Republican and an atheist. How can you sing God Save the Queen?" And there's a very easy response to that. He should have just gone, I'm remembering people who died fighting the Nazis. It's not a time to start going on about, our monarchy or religion or the national anthem. We want to remember these people, and I don't want to distract from that either. And that's what he should have, I think he should have done. They are trying to paint him as somebody who's unpatriotic, so he needs to come up with a response to that. And I think he should really go on the offensive there. What is more patriotic than wanting to rid your country of injustice? And he could turn the tables. If you want to talk about people bowing, what about David Cameron bowing to the Saudi dictatorship, arming them to the teeth and lowering the British flag to half-mast when the Saudi dictator died? But also, it's a threat to national security because Saudi Arabia and other Gulf states who we support export international extremism, which is not just a threat to the people of the Middle East, it's a threat to the people of this country and the national security of Britain. That is the threat to national security that we should be talking about. Similarly, if David Cameron and others want to bring in patriotism, what's patriotic about making working people in this country pay for the greed of those at the top? What's patriotic about stripping away tax credits from workers who keep this country ticking day after day with their hard graft? What's patriotic about hundreds of thousands of British people in this, one of the biggest economies on earth, being driven to food banks in order to feed themselves? Let's talk about patriotism, David Cameron. Sure, we can do that. Let's turn the tables. I think that's what Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour leadership should do, and it would mean being pretty tough. Otherwise, they're going to be painted in this way, and people on Twitter will laugh about it, or look how absurd the Sun is, how absurd David Cameron is for saying all this stuff, but it will make a difference out there. What they're doing is absurd and outrageous, but it will make an impact unless there's a real attempt to turn the tables. So that's what they should do. But I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think about the media campaign? Do you think it's fair, maybe? Maybe someone out there thinks, no, it's totally reasonable. What can we do about it? What do you think Labour should, when it comes to patriotism and stuff? Are you very uncomfortable about it? The left traditionally, it's not been the kind of flag-waving thing. I'm not suggesting it should. It should be internationalist. But how does it, avoid being portrayed as not liking the country or whatever? So I want to hear your thoughts. So leave your comments and subscribe. And as ever, I will see you next time.